Go live. Lovely. And we got Sam here he says, "What up? So hyped for Kyle." And we're here. What's up, guys? Hello.
Hey.
We are live. Welcome, everyone. Kyle can say hello, and Justin can say hello, and everyone can say hello. Okay, we are going to just dive right into it, I guess. This is our NBA season preview. Yeah, hang on one second.
It's okay.
Window projector. Yeah, window projector. Okay, there we go. There's that, and you can resize it as needed.
Thank you.
And I can give you a chat window in just a second. Let's see. Okay, Kyle, you wanna kick us off? What's up, political parody? Say
Sorry,
hey.
I was
Oh, no,
resizing.
you're
I'm
good.
good. I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. Do your thing.
Sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
Now going?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we want to do some season previews. We were going to go division by division, pick a team that we think is going to hit the over, team we take the under for, and then kind of a potential maybe sneaky difference maker, not picking star players on teams, but other players that aren't talked about as much that deserve some attention and might be key pieces for their prospective teams this year. So starting with the East Atlantic, right?
Yeah, we'll start with the Atlantic. Yep.
Cool. So I'll start with my over, and then you guys can kind of weigh in. I'm going to go with the Raptors here at 45.5. Last season they had 48 wins. So even if they're 2 games worse than last year, they're still going to hit the over. Presumably being dinged because they didn't really make too many off-season moves. I get why they're not projected to improve on last season's result. Key additions would be Otto Porter Jr. and Josh Jackson. Not the best,
right.
But they managed to re-sign Chris Boucher on a good deal, and ultimately, what a lot of people are assuming is they're going to rely on Scotty Barnes to take another leap and be more of a difference maker for him. So, to me, they're one of the better bets in this division to hit their over.
Justin, what do you think?
I like it. I mean, we were kind of talking about it. I've got them winning 46 games, so that's technically the over for them. To be honest with you, I think they're going to be right there. That whole division, though, I've got the Sixers winning it. I got them winning 55 games. I think they're one spot below some other people, but I don't see a way the Raptors fall off too much, like you said. But I see some other teams elevating with some continuity issues as well as getting healthy, and that's in the Atlantic Division. Obviously, the Nets. And then I think the Celtics fall back a little bit, but that's more of a dysfunction situation than a talent situation.
You don't think so you think the Celtics drop? Are you going Celtics under here?
I don't know what their projection is.
53.5.
Yeah, definitely under.
Yeah, he has this all in a doc there in the folder.
Well, I've got the one doc up. I don't have the other one.
Yeah, so let's see here. The my over. I'm thinking, so I like the Toronto pick, and I don't want to piggyback you too much, because I think regardless of how good Brooklyn is going to be, they still have some kinks to work out. A lot of new players on the team, and kind of a lot of new, just there's a lot of moving parts still to that team. I can't trust Philly. It's just been years of not being able to trust them. And so I can't put my faith in them. I can't put my faith in them again. Hey, let's see who the subscriber was. I think it was Jonathan Galbraith again. Maybe somebody different. Oh, no, NBA Shorts 40. Thank you for the subscription. So I think I just have to copy it there. Toronto seems to make sense. I'm nervous about Scotty Barnes. So Trey is big on Scotty Barnes. He's saying that he is going to be all NBA this year in his second season, which is wild. That is a take right there. That's a claim.
That would be a leap.
Yeah. Matthew Dean, what's up? Welcome back. I'm conflicted here. I'm going to go to Toronto as well. Yeah. But I don't think it's by a lot, though. I think probably like 47 or so. Nothing crazy.
I think the over was tough here just because, this is a division full of Vipers. Like, these are all competitive teams that don't necessarily, like, which of these teams is prioritizing the regular season at this point?
Yeah.
Like, they all know what they have. They're not really out to prove anything in the regular season. So I thought it was a tough pick for the over, but kind of like what Justin said, I had the Celtics as the under. To me, 53.5. That's seems a little bit high. They have the highest projected win total of any team in the league. Last season was kind of a roller coaster. Started off pretty terrible, then won 26 of the last 32 regular season games. That's why they finished 51-31. So projected to be at least 3 points better, or 3 games better to hit the over. So that's why I'd be betting against that. I just don't see how a team with a first-year head coach that we've never seen anything from before, completely unproven. Rob Williams probably going to miss at least half the season. So to me, it seems easier. A lot of times with these over and unders, the league is more even. There's more parity than what the projections say.
Yeah.
So to me, it's kind of a smart bet to take the highest win total in the league, take the under on that.
Justin, what are you going with under here?
Under, it was definitely Boston for me. To me, risking Rob Williams is big, but I do see something in dysfunction in your franchise leading to dysfunction on the court. And I just think a lot of distractions can really mess a team up. I think we see that with a lot of people. I think we're going to see that with the Western Conference team as well. So that's my big thing for them. I think regression is real when you try and get there and you miss. And you're just like, ugh, and you're kind of exhausted by it. And I think that kind of happens. But so many other teams are getting better in the East. And so when your whole conference is getting better, and especially your division is getting better, I feel like that is going to lead to them not hitting that. Not 50 games for sure for me.
Yeah. Okay, so I was thinking Philly, but the reason that I can't go under on Philly is because they're not playing. My lack of faith with Philly is when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
But in the playoffs, they're playing Boston and Brooklyn and Miami, and the East is crazy. The Bucks, yeah. They're not playing those teams every night. They're playing them a lot, and the East is stacked. But if I got to go under, I'm going to go under on Brooklyn. Actually, I just think that they have, like I said, they have those moving parts, and I could just see them kind of coasting until the time comes, and then playoffs, and then maybe they get it together. But I don't really have faith in Brooklyn. I don't. You said it, how much drama the Boston's dealt with.
Yeah.
I don't really have faith in Boston. I don't think the champion comes out of the Atlantic Division this year. That's just what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that's a good bet. To hit the over, they have to win 7 more games than last season. It's a bit of a jump too, but I think KD's going to play angry this season. I think barring injury, he's going to have a hell of a year, but yeah, I kind of leaned back and forth between the Celtics and the Nets for the under.
All right, so then what's after that? Difference maker, right? Just a one-player difference maker for somebody in the division?
Yeah, I had to go with one of my personal favorites. I know we just crapped on the Celtics for a few minutes, but I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon. People forget, former 50, 40, 90 shooter. Definitely something the Celtics need. We've seen him be a score-first point guard, but he doesn't need to be, especially now. He can kind of be more of that floor general that the Celtics have definitely lacked at times when they have to play Marcus Smart at the point. Obviously, you're sacrificing something on defense, but having that person in charge on the offensive end of the floor, I think, could really help him. He's got his master's in public administration, so he's pretty smart. And his availability is obviously going to be a question. I've heard that a lot from people talking about the Celtics this year, but I'm a little skeptical on that. He was always pretty healthy for the Bucks, and then he went to a rat team that wasn't trying to win.
Right.
So I think part of that is, why would he play a little dinged up for no reason?
Yeah.
I see him playing more like 65, 70 games this year. So,
Justin?
Yeah, it is funny how 2-week injuries become month-long injuries when your team's not trying to win games. They're you need to rest it more. It's okay. My difference maker kind of came down to my first thought was Ben Simmons. He's coming back. He could make such the difference for the Brooklyn Nets. But in my opinion, that's a little more boom or bust for me. I think the more solid difference maker pick for me is actually going to be PJ Tucker in Philly. I think that really shores up the defense for them. Kind of more of a grit to their kind of flashy stars, more so than not. So for me, when you've got James Harden, who's not going to worry about defense that much, and Joel Embiid, who already is a good defender, you just needed good role players for that team to maybe take the next step over the hump to get there.
You are high on Philly. You want my Philly hat or what?
I am. I am. I think they're going to be really good.
Are we jumping Wizards ship or what?
No.
Okay,
No,
okay.
never.
Please, I encourage it. I
I'm actually gonna go with I know I just again said that they're not gonna really get it together yet, but I'm gonna go with Royce O'Neal for Brooklyn. Brilliant perimeter defender. Isn't gonna need the ball. The East is full of second and third guys. I don't know when they go up against the Bucks, somebody's got to check Giannis. Somebody's got to check Giannis. It's probably Ben Simmons and KD, right? They're probably handing off those duties along with Nick Claxton. Royce O'Neal is probably their second best perimeter defender, and he can. Well, no one can hold their own. No one can lock down Kyrie, but he can hold his own on the perimeter against Kyrie. He's a hell of a perimeter defender. So, and I think I mentioned this on the show last night that it's a weird thought, but the three-headed defensive monster of Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton, and Royce O'Neal is somewhat intimidating on the defensive side of the ball. Who would have thought? But
Kevin Garnett, we're switching everything.
Yeah, right. So I'll go Royce O'Neal there. So moving on to the Central Division. I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot about one team from one of these guys. What do you? Although I don't know if you listened to the podcast yet, Kyle. He's big on your boys over there, so you take it away for the Central Division.
Central Division. I think I might surprise you here. So I'm going to take Cleveland at 47.5. Last season only had 44 wins. Kind of got derailed by injuries at one point. It was looking pretty bright for them until the Ricky Rubio injury really stung. To me, they made the biggest move of the offseason, getting Donovan Mitchell. They gave up Markkanen, the 2022 first-round pick, Ochai Agbaji, Colin Sexton, and then 3 firsts and then 2 pick swaps. So to me, obviously that's a lot, but none of those pieces were the reason they won 44 games last season and looked really promising. Mm-hmm. So you're not really giving up a lot of what made the team what it was last season. And you're adding a 3-time All-Star, one of the most dynamic scorers we have in the league. They've leveraged their future. They've gone all in on this move, and I think they are going to be one of the teams in the East that we see that is out to prove something in the regular season. They might have that drive all year that we're probably not going to see from the Bucks and the Nets and the Sixers and the Celtics. So I could see them surprising some people and maybe kind of fighting for one of those home court playoff seeds.
Yeah, Justin?
Yeah, I like Cleveland the over on them. I do really think that that's a good pick, but I'm going to take your Milwaukee Bucks to win 60 plus games.
Okay.
If you haven't listened to the podcast yet, anybody in the live hasn't, go listen to it, but I kind of reiterate a little bit what I said, is I think we're going to see arguably one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen out of a Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I mean that in league history. You're seeing him already have all the accolades, already be arguably the consensus best player in the league, entering his prime. Like for me, he's hitting his 27-year-old season. I think he could go MVP, DPOY, Finals MVP. Like I think it could go that crazy. And so for me, I think with the return of Chris Middleton, they're like, oh, we were one Chris Middleton injury away from winning last year. That's how I believe they think that. And so I don't think they take their foot off the gas. They're not a team that's going to rest. Giannis is like, I play every day. We win. I do this.
Yeah. So now, Kyle, I'm sure you know more about this than I would just because I kind of saw the headline and went, ooh, that's big. Chris Middleton's not going to be around for the start of the season. This seems to be a lingering thing now. Is this an issue or not?
Yeah, I think it was sort of undercovered. This was kind of known about. This didn't come out of nowhere. We knew he was going to miss time at the beginning of the year. So I don't think this is any sort of change in the timetable based on, not recovering the way they expected or anything like that. I think they're just really being cautious. They understand they don't need him for the first couple months of the season. If it's better just to make sure he's healthy. Like Justin said, that was, they took the Celtics to 7 games without Chris Middleton. So I think they understand that if they have him healthy and the rest of the roster healthy, they can compete with anyone. So I think that's the main focus. So it doesn't really worry me.
Yeah, I'll go. My over will be Cleveland as well. I think the someone that we haven't talked about that I mentioned on the pod last night was six man for the Cavs. I got mushy brain.
Oh,
Karis LeVert.
yes.
Karis LeVert, I think could help them. And spoiler alert, that will be my pick for deep difference maker in the division. I think he's, I don't know. He's one of those guys that's just kind of squirrely. He kind of does, he just kind of does things, and his turnover rate jumped when he went to Cleveland. I think because he was trying to force things and kind of trying to force his just make his presence felt. But I am going to go over on Cleveland. I think Donovan Mitchell's worth at least, I think he's worth at least 4 games. And if that's the addition, they didn't lose really anything from what they played, from who they had. So did you give your? Oh, you already said the Bucks, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So I go over on Cleveland. Hey, RJ's back. Kyle, who you got for your under there?
I thought this was a tough division to pick an under. So I'm going Detroit at 29.5. I don't want it to be interpreted as like I'm down on the Pistons. I think they have a pretty bright future.
Yeah.
But they won 23 games last season. Got Jaden Ivey for their troubles for tanking pretty successfully. I like a lot of the pieces on the team. Ivy, obviously, Cade, Jalen Duren, Sadiq Bey. They kind of have some guys with some potential upside on players that were kind of hyped at the beginning of their career, didn't really develop. They've got Marvin Bagley. They still have Killian Hayes. They brought in Kevin Knox. I'm not necessarily counting on any of those guys to pop, but if I had to, put a positive spin on the Pistons, I think there's a lot of potential there. But, in this case, they probably are still looking to tank, and I think they're competent enough to do it that they're not going to, accidentally win too many games. So picked at 29.5 this year. They won 23 games last season, so I have them more down in that range. So they were kind of my favorite for the under here.
Justin?
Yeah. Detroit, I'm not as high on yet. I think their future's looking good, but like next season, not so much. I'm actually, even though they're projected not that many wins, I'm taking the under on Indiana. I think it's going to go even lower than that. I think they're going to trade away some pieces because we keep hearing them in trade talks. I think they trade away pieces and they think, okay, we already made some big trade. They say big trades, but they traded away and swap. And they've got Tyrese Halliburton, and wouldn't they love to put Victor Wembanyama next to Tyrese Halliburton? Like, I think that could be something that they would go for, because why not? If they know they can't win this season, so you go all in and you say, all right, let's go do that. Let's get the new Stockton Malone situation going.
My under, and this makes me sad to say, is Chicago.
Oof.
They can't stay healthy. Like, they can't. It's not just Lonzo. It's Lonzo, and Caruso has a lingering thing now, and
Patrick Williams.
Zach LaVine is dealing with stuff. They just can't stay healthy. It's continuous, and I love DeMar, but I don't think he's got 42 wins on his own if it's just him, or always having to adjust to who's there and who's not. So I'll go under on Chicago. Sad to say. I do still think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll figure it out, but I think it's going to be rough for Chicago this year. And which I want it to be known. A couple months ago, I called them the winners of the offseason, before the Lonzo scope, before all these lingering things keep. It's the injury bug. I mean, Caruso said it in an interview a few months back, was all they need to do is be healthy. All they need to do is play together. Well, it just doesn't look like they're going to have that opportunity. I mean, I loved the additions of Drummond. I love that they kept Derrick Jones Jr. and signed Goran Dragic, but I don't know if it's enough, and I got to go under on Chicago. So, difference maker for you, Kyle?
Yeah, had a couple runner-ups. I really thought about Patrick Williams in Chicago. Like you said, they're going to be thin, so if he can really pop, that would be a huge addition for them after missing him last season. The other one I really wanted to focus on was Benedict Mathurin, the number 6 pick.
Pacers, right?
For the Pacers.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of hype. I mean, obviously enough hype to be a lottery pick, but
sure.
Not a lot of favorites for Rookie of the Year or something like that. And I think he's a very dynamic player. The Pacers have no interest in being efficient or winning a lot of games, so I could see him being pretty cool. But kind of going off what you said, Michael, I couldn't commit to one player, but I went with the small forward position for the Cavs as my difference maker. So The question of who's going to play for the three for this team, I think, is pretty interesting. You've got LeVert or Isaac Okoro. I think, like you said, Michael, I think LeVert's a much better fit as that first man off the bench, giving you that offensive juice with the second lineup. I think they'll go with Okoro, even though he's pretty brutal on offense. Now that you've got Mitchell and Garland in the backcourt, Mobley, very great passing big man already. I don't think they need a whole lot of production out of that small forward position. They just need a defender that can help when Donovan Mitchell inevitably loses his man. So I'm really interested to see, if either Caris LeVert figures out how to play some defense or Okoro magically improves his shooting by a couple percentage points. I think they could be a real contender if they can kind of figure out that position, or trade them both for a real starting quality level small forward. I could see them making that move too. So that's what I'm interested in.
No? Are there any names behind that you think would make sense, or just?
I don't think I would trade both of them for Jay Crowder, but I'd certainly trade one of them for Jay Crowder.
That's something I wouldn't hate to see. A little more veteran presence.
Okay.
I think he wore out
that's out of right field for me.
Time,
say what?
Yeah. I think he wore out his welcome in Cleveland the first time he was there, but he's done that with about half the league, so I don't think we can.
He's been around enough. Okay. Let's see here. So Southeast over, who you got, bud? Or no, are we? Oh, difference maker for you.
Difference maker for me. Sorry. I know we just, and by we, I mean you guys kind of just got done talking down about the Bulls a little bit. I think the Bulls figure out the regular season a little bit to win some games. So I think their difference maker is actually going to be Andre Drummond. I think the signing for that helps them up a little, on defense as well as rebounding. He knows he's not, ever going to he's not shooting the ball. This never was this kind of situation anyway. So I think that gives them a little bit more of continuity kind of going in. I'm not as worried about the Levine situation. I also think he takes a little step forward, but I think having somebody to kind of do that dirty work for them, they're like, okay, thank you for taking that off our plate, and then we can just focus on doing the other stuff that we need to do. So that for me, kind of, that's what I think makes them win a couple more games than last season for me.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I already kind of spoiled the LeVert thing. Apparently, we're running out of time on the meeting. I wasn't realized that Zoom had a time limit. So.
Yeah, interesting.
So let's roll along here. I guess we'll cover the East, the West so fast. Southeast over under.
All right, I'm going Orlando 26.5. They had a 22-win season last year. They got their first overall pick since Dwight Howard. I think Paolo accelerates the timeline of this team. I've heard a lot of people talk about how they're just going to tank again. I don't necessarily think they will. I don't know. To me, you've only got these guys on rookie deals for so long. So, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, you've only got one more season after this for Cole Anthony on his rookie deal. So I've seen a lot of people say they're going to tank again. But to me, I think they've got the pieces to potentially be a playing team this year. Mm-hmm. So if I had to pick one team to just improve on their 22-win season when they were deliberately trying to lose, I think they could easily win 5 more games than that if they realize they actually have something.
Justin?
Yeah, we already know who I'm going with. It's the Washington Wizards.
Of course.
The combination of the unicorn with Bradley Beal finally getting to play with each other. They didn't get to play with each other last year because Bradley Beal was hurt. I think Bradley Beal is still one of the top scorers in the league. I think the Kuzma being your third person is not a bad third option on a team. For me, they obviously got Monte Morris and Will Barton, which obviously aren't amazing players, but they do fill the role that was kind of left by Spencer Dinwiddie in that kind of situation. So for me, you give Wes Unseld Jr. another year, I think they're going to definitely win over 45 games.
No, I do think I'm okay. Over, I'm gonna go Miami. I think they just always fuck their way to being a top 4 seed. Like, it's just the culture. It's the Bam was out. He missed 24, 25 games last year, and he's still they still were their number 2 seed, right? Or they were the number 1 seed last year.
The number 1 seed, yeah.
God, they're gonna find a way to fumble them. They'll they'll fall into first or second place. I guarantee it, and then get absolutely flamed in the, no pun intended, in the playoffs. Under for you, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go against Justin on this one and take the under for the Wizards.
Yeah.
Projected at
So
35
mean.
and a half. They had 35 wins last year, so the question was, are they better this year? And I'm not really convinced of it. I don't know. I mean, we've seen Kristaps try to be the number 2 option with Luka Doncic, who's going to be an MVP favorite this year. That didn't work out, so I'm not convinced that bringing him to Washington to be second in command to Brad Beal is going to go any better.
Justin?
I hear you. It hurts to hear you, but I hear you.
I'm sorry,
I'm taking the under on the Hornets. They've got so many problems. Will they even have players to play by the beginning of the season? Like, I don't know what they're gonna do. I think, I think it could get ugly fast to the point where they might just go, hey, just shut it all down.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm actually also going under on the Hornets. I don't know. I don't really feel like, I don't know. I don't feel strongly about it, but I just look at this. I look at the team and I go, you know, I don't like the Wizards winning. Not like I would be upset if it happened, but I don't think it will happen. But I also could see it. Like, I could see them, if Beal and Porzingis get it together, maybe. I don't know. It's unrealistic that they go over. I think it's more realistic that the Hornets go under. Difference maker, Kyle.
Yeah, it's a good point. Poverty franchise, they need a big man, and they don't seem to be aware of it. So
Right.
yeah, I don't have much hope for Charlotte either.
Yeah.
Difference maker. I want to give some love to Wendell Carter Jr. Don't think he gets the recognition he deserves. I think he can be exactly what this Magic team needs this year. Defend and rebound hard. He can spread the floor when he needs to. If I think Paolo is going to want to have more of an inside game. He can kind of clear the way for Paolo to do that. Doesn't need the ball in his hands. All his scoring, rebound, and assist numbers all improved last season from his previous years in Chicago in his first full year in Orlando. So career 12-9 guy. I could see him be more of like a 17-11 type of guy. So kind of like you guys said earlier, if you're the Bulls, like, how are you looking at this? Would you rather have Vooch or would you rather have Wendell Carter and Franz Wagner? Because that's what the Magic got with the Bulls pick.
Yeah.
So to me, that's looking really rough. I think Wendell Carter, I think he's going to be a really important piece for this team.
I could see that too.
Yeah.
Justin?
Originally, my difference maker was going to be the health and continuity of the Wizards getting back together and being amazing. But as a singular player, I do think the difference maker is going to be DeJounte Murray for the Hawks. I think that really kind of is going to open things up for them potentially, because I've been on record saying that they were kind of a flash in the pan, then they make that move. I'm still skeptical because I don't think he adds enough offensive firepower for them. Trey is still kind of just like a nuclear option by himself out there, but I think he could do great things to open the floor up a little bit for Trey to do a little bit more.
I agree. I think of DeJounte. I mean, really kind of game breaking there. They are not going to do anything crazy.
Yeah,
but he could. I mean, he's an all-star. They got 2 all-stars now, and John Collins wasn't far off. You know, he was in the running for it.
Clint Capella used to be kind of maybe sometimes.
So maybe with all those factors together, I could see it happening. All right, let's go to the West, shall we?
Do we want to try to run through all 3 of these in 3 minutes? Or
no, I'm upgrading it right now.
Okay.
I can't see any of this. I'm in the dark.
Sorry if I'm a little unplugged at the moment. I'm getting us rid of that timeline. So, and now unlimited minutes. Yay. Okay.
Hey.
Go ahead. Well, I mean, we still only have about 30 minutes because of our schedule, but
now it doesn't feel like an episode of 24. Okay. Yeah. So Northwest Division. It's projected to be the weakest division in the league by win totals. To me, it's one of the more intriguing groups of teams just because you have 2 teams going all in the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. You've got 2 teams probably tanking harder than anything we've seen since the process in Utah and Oklahoma City. And you've got the Blazers, who are kind of a question mark. But for me, I'm taking the Nuggets at the over 49.5. They won 48 games last season without Murray or MPJ. So presuming they stay healthy for even part of the year and win 2 more games than last year, to me, very easy over. Vegas has them as the 8th best regular season team, but to me, they're much more of a title contender. Calvin Booth, friend of the pod, absolutely nailed it this offseason to me. You have a generational big man. You have a 2-time MVP with terrific passing ability. You put shooters who can defend around him. It's not that hard. They added KCP. All they gave up was Barton and Monte Morris. KCP is a definite upgrade over Barton. Ish Smith's a fine replacement for Monte Morris. They add Bruce Brown. They draft Christian Braun. All 4 of those players look fantastic in preseason. The whole team looked great. I think Bones Highland improved. I'm super high on the Nuggets, so this was an easy over for me.
Jada.
Yeah, I agree with the Nuggets being over. I think they're going to be the number 1 seed in the West. They have the easiest strength of schedule next season, combined with getting 2 great players back with the double 2-time MVP. But if I'm going to pick one that I'm going to think for sure goes over, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves, who I'm also very high on. I think they win 50 games because Rudy Gobert is a talking top 10 defense. You've got the greatest shooting big man of all time now playing the 4 where he wants to be. I think that team is very scary, and I think they're going to be very fun to watch.
I didn't know Dirk came out of retirement.
He didn't have to.
Okay.
Cat passed him.
I'm going over on Denver as well, but not that by that much. I'm not giving him the 2nd seed in the West. I picked him to make the Western Conference Finals last year when I thought they were going to get Jamal Murray back. They've only gotten better since then.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's going to work for me. Kyle, under.
Justin always makes me feel smart by saying he agrees with my picks, and then he says something totally outlandish. Makes me value that opinion less. For the under, you've got some easy picks here with the Thunder and the Jazz. They're going to really wow us with their low win totals, I imagine, but I don't think that's as fun for content. So I'm going to call my shot and say Minnesota. I think relative to expectations, they might kind of be a disaster this year. I'm not necessarily saying I think this is kind of a failure of a project long term, but I think it's going to take some time to work itself out. They're slated to be tied for 5th in the West with the Grizzlies and Dallas. And to me, it's entirely possible they fall short of that. I don't think they're as good as those 2 teams. I think Rudy and Cat can coexist long term. It's just there's going to be some growing pains. Like, neither of them can come off the bench. You got to start them together. And that, like Justin said, means playing Cat at the 4. And he's kind of a mess defending on the perimeter right now, which was part of the issue in Utah. It's, different personnel, but if you play a team that's going to spread the floor out, you're in the same situation where Rudy's okay on the perimeter, but he can't fix everything. And now you've also got Cat on the perimeter who's not going to be able to stay in front of his man. So it could work in the long run, but I have lower expectations for this season.
Justin?
That's fair. I get your concerns. I understand. I'm going under on the Blazers. I don't think Dame's going to be able to carry them to the 35, or is it 35 or is it 30? Yeah, definitely not the 39. I got him winning 30 maybe. But at a certain point, as the Blazers, you go, hey, one more year, Dame. We already re-signed you. Let's try and do this whole Victor Wembanyama kid. Like, why not? Go for it. Like, and I think we're going to see a lot of teams maybe kind of shape up at that point in time. If that's the case, they're like, okay, let's shut it down, figure it out. They were underwhelming last year. I know he was hurt, but like he's only getting older. They didn't get markedly better in the free agency. Jeremy Grant's good, not great. Like we already know what Nurkic is, so I don't really know what to do with him anymore.
Yeah, I was also going to go under on Portland. It is kind of a cop out to go, oh, Utah and OKC are going to be some of the worst teams ever in an effort to get Victor. But I agree. The Dame. Yeah, I think we've seen Dame's last All-Star appearance. I think we've seen probably the best of Dame, which breaks my heart. I mean, he's what did I call him a couple of years ago? Everybody's favorite player that isn't quite their favorite player is Dame. He's hard to dislike. Everybody loves Dame. He does amazing things on the court. He's thrilling moments, some of the most exciting moments in recent memory. But he just doesn't have the team anymore, and never really did, if we're being honest. I mean, that Western Conference Final run where they got mopped by the Warriors in 19. Yeah, that was their best run, and even that team wasn't stacked. Covington was their 4th best guy. So I'll go under on Portland. Difference maker for you, Cal.
Hear me out.
Uh-oh.
What if the Blazers did have some guys? I'm going to go with Anthony Simons.
I agree.
Super interested to see what he's going to do next to Dame. We saw him be what the Blazers have thought he is for a few years now without him last season. He averaged 25 points and 8 assists with Dame inactive. Portland's been unwilling to include him in trade packages over the years. They're really high on him. They're gonna play him next to Dame, and they're gonna be patient about it. If it's not working in the beginning, they're gonna stick with it. So to me, whether or not he can produce on a comparable level to what he did last season next to Dame, the franchise guy, I think that's a huge factor in whether or not Portland competes. But the difference maker could be a negative. If it really doesn't work, I'm right in line with you guys that I think they're going to be a 29-30 win team again.
J-Dog.
Yeah. I actually have my difference maker as D'Angelo Russell.
Ooh.
I think him figuring out how to navigate and orchestrate this offense with the big guy, with obviously Cat and Anthony Edwards, and then having, you've got Rudy Gobert down low, who's not really going to do your offense for you. I think him figuring out how to navigate that whole situation could really elevate them, as well as Anthony Edwards' own ascension, that we think he's going to take that next step.
Yeah, that's a good point. The addition of Gobert as a role man, we know how much Cat loves to pick and pop and fade and all that, but a roll man, that's exactly what Gobert was made for. He's made in a lab to pick and roll with D'Lo. Apparently, they're going to be great with that. He's going to open the floor up for him, so that's a good pick. I actually am going to go with Ochai Agbaji. I'm just kidding.
Don't get me excited.
My difference maker is in the Northwest is going to be Sam Presti, finding excuses for all of his players to be hurt every single game he can, so that they go 2-80 or whatever they possibly could. I said this a few weeks ago. That SGA, it's a grade 2 MCL sprain, and he was going to be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. I guarantee you this dude misses 6 months. Like, he's going to be gone for another complication, but I guarantee you he's in summer runs. He'll be all good. If I actually had to choose a player, though, I think we could look at something, not like it's going to make, okay, so I guess I can't say make a difference if he's a difference maker, but I think Josh Giddey takes a leap this year. I think he could do some good things, and just at least an improved performer for OKC that won't matter. I mean, he's going to be putting up, 15-point triple-doubles maybe in 45-point blowout losses. So it's going to be rough for OKC. Pacific Division for you, Kyle.
Yeah, here's all the teams that, for better or worse, are going to kind of drive the media cycle this season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do something real silly, and I'm going to take the Kings over 33.5.
That's silly. I did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I said it. They said it. They were my sleeper this year. Go ahead. Not sleeper, but surprise.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas has them 6 games outside of the 10 seed Blazers. You've got 4 teams in the West actively tanking. So you've got 11 teams fighting for 10 spots. I just see it being way more competitive than that. I think at this point, we know the franchise is kind of a disaster from the front office standpoint, and it's a new coach every year, but they got Mike Brown now. They have too many quality guys, and to me, another extremely intriguing rookie in Keegan Murray. So I just thought the Kings were lower, even as someone who we all make fun of the Kings, but I think they'll hit this.
Okay, Justin?
Yeah, this one was actually really hard for me because I fall in line with a lot of the win totals on here to an extent, but the only people I have in the over in this division are the Warriors. The only people that have hit their over. I think they win about 55 games. They're obviously just kind of, I wouldn't say reloaded, they're a little tumultuous start to the season, but they kind of seem to figure things out every time they need to figure things out. But I don't think they're a juggernaut, but I do think they definitely hit their over and as the only 50-win team in this whole division.
Okay. No, Kyle, it's not crazy. I said the same thing last night. If anybody watching, listen to the podcast. It's the team from the island of misfit toys. A lot of young guys who've bounced around, been traded, cut. They have nothing to lose, something to prove. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, Harris Barnes, Rashawn Holmes, Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Matthew Dellavedova, Keegan Murray, like you mentioned. Davion Mitchell's a hell of a defender. They're going to make the playoffs via the play-in tournament. I think they'll hit the 10 seed surprise somebody in that upset, and then get absolutely smoked in the first round by whoever it is, Warriors, Clippers, Nuggets, whoever ends up being that first seed. They're gonna get demolished. But I do. They're my. That's my over. Cal?
Under. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of with Justin. There was a lot more unders to choose from here. You wanted to go with Phoenix. The vibes are pretty atrocious on and off the court down there. But I think Vegas sort of accounted for that. 11 and a half fewer wins than what they had last season. So that kind of scared me off. I'm going to go with the Lakers at 45 and a half. Pat Bev's an obvious improvement. One of the better kind of offseason additions they made recently. But other than that, it's just we're kind of presuming a healthy Anthony Davis adds 13 wins over last season. Could happen if he plays 82 games, but let's not kid ourselves here. I don't think he's playing 82 games. The roster got younger, but I'm just not quite sure if they got significantly better.
Right on. Justin?
Kyle, can I ask you a question? This is obviously, as the roster is now, if they made that fictitious Pacers trade for Turner and Hield, does that change you on them?
Changes me, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would do it either, just because I don't know if that trade, I mean, what do they expect? Do they think they're a contender if they make that trade?
I think the Lakers think so.
Yeah, I mean, if
they're
they
better,
think they are, they'll probably do it. But
yeah, because if you're the Pacers, you do it because you're banking on Wembanyama. That's why you do that.
Yeah, you get the picks, and you get Russ, who's only going to help you lose.
Yes.
In Indiana.
Extremely valuable picks.
For
Very
sure.
valuable picks.
I am actually going to take the under on the Clippers. While I do think the Suns also hit that under, the Clippers, I don't think they care to win a bunch of games in the regular season. I don't think Kawhi's ever cared to win a bunch of games in the regular season. They got a lot of continuity issues that they also had to kind of figure out. Most of that team's been there, but they've just been in pieces. They've never been whole for me for the whole season to really put it together. So for me, they got to kind of figure it out and show me before I'm really going to believe that they're going to hit that win total.
Yeah, I got Clippers as well. Is John Wall, after 3 years, you're starting after like not playing real basketball for more than 21 games in a season, for the first time in like 5 seasons, he's the guy that's going to be the big difference maker? I don't see
my sixth man of the year.
Yeah, it's possible if he comes off the bench, maybe.
Yeah.
Kawhi coming back healthy, they have a lot of, but I said this, and this is not an analytical take. This is simply opinion here.
Vibes based.
Hey, come over to my side.
Right.
Come here.
Vibes based only. The Clippers are cursed until they get out of Crypto.com arena, and they have to keep covering the banners until that bomber arena is done. Clippers ain't doing it. I just don't believe they're capable of it. So I'll go under. Although they'll probably be great in the regular season and then choke in the playoffs or something. I could totally see that happening. So, all right.
Difference maker?
All right. Since we spend so much time talking down on the Lakers, I'll highlight a little bright spot in Lonnie Walker IV.
Yes.
There you go.
They desperately need an athletic guard who can spot up, shoot, run in transition. They gave up 2 of those players in KCP and Caruso to make the Russ deal work. Like I said a second ago, I'm sort of pessimistic that they find a trade for Russ. I think they're going to have to rock with that for a while, and I don't think it's going to work. So I think they're going to be desperate for any sort of competent level guard play of somebody who can do what they need to do, and I think Walker's more than capable of it. So I kind of had down here that he was a career 9-point per game scorer that could be more in that like 13 to 14 points per game type of deal, a little bit better than what we saw from Malik Monk last year, and that could be huge for him.
Yeah.
J-Bone.
I'm going, even though I think the Kings are going to be awful by my estimation, I think Keegan Murray's their difference maker. I think he's going to have a great opening season. I think he wins Rookie of the Year. And so if they're going to do something, I think he's going to be the reason, kind of the catalyst that kind of pushes them young and forward and ready to go. I think he obviously looked great in Summer League. And so it was awesome for me. So that's my difference maker for sure for them.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Trey here, and I'm going Cam Johnson. You know, him and Jay Crowder have been juggling minutes for the past year or so, and no more, as Jay Crowder will no longer be a part of the team. The team and him have come to terms to work on a trade, and so he will be out, and that means Cam Johnson's going to be your starting 4. And what that means for me is that maybe his performance is just good enough to make Ayton not wanting to be there, and Booker being disappointed in himself that he's not Kobe, and Chris Paul being 75 years old, and all these different things. Maybe this I think he'll be the shining little light that is like, oh, well, they're weird. Nobody really knows what's going on. They're winning games here and there, but look at Cam Johnson. He's doing good. I think that he could kind of help just be a constant for them, because he's not going to put up crazy numbers. He's not going to average 25 points or anything like that. But I think his performance has been consistent enough in the minutes that he was given last couple seasons to prove that he can at least be consistent enough to be a bright spot for them. Next division. Sorry, go ahead.
Underrated factor there, did not sign his rookie extension.
Boom.
So now he's on a contract year.
Boom. And I talked about that on the pod last night. These players, when they're about to get paid, they go, watch this. It's crazy. Kyle, wrap us up here with the Southwest Division. Yep.
All right. I think I've had your support for most of this, Michael, so I'm most confident about this one. I'm taking the Grizzlies at 48.5.
I don't have
56 games they won last season. Got the 2 seed in the West, somehow still not getting respect by the odds makers. I know they're going to miss Jaren Jackson for a good part of the year, but I don't know why the Grizzlies are still so underrated. They're 7 players ahead of Ja Morant in the MVP odds. I think that's a little off as well. It's a team that's been phenomenal at developing their draft picks. I think they got 2 more good ones this year. They got David Roddy and Kenny Lofton Jr. I think they're going to kind of ease the missing Triple J. They're different players, but the Grizzlies are just deep enough. They don't play guys who suck, as Chris Vernon says. So they still have Steven Adams, Xavier Tillman. They're really high on Santi Aldama. So even if they're 7 games worse than last season, that's still hitting the over. So that one was pretty easy for me.
Of course it was. Justin.
I'm taking my man Luka and the over on the Mavericks. What's the one thing they needed? They needed big people. They got big people. They have Christian Wood. They got JaVale McGee. They didn't lose. They lost Jalen Brunson, but you already had enough guards to fill that spot anyway. Luka only getting better and better. He, I believe, is the favorite to win MVP preseason.
Luka is the preseason favorite.
And so, he's going to play phenomenal. We know we're going to get out of him. He's just not the most fun player to watch, maybe from a purely entertainment value, but if you like basketball, he's just a basketball player. That's
he's a basketball.
So good. You watch him just tear people apart. It's insane to me. He doesn't have to jump over anybody. He's not athletic, and he's like, oh, here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And he just does it. It's got that Larry Bird energy. But yeah, I don't think they're over by a lot, but I do think they over 50 games.
I just don't think that Dallas, we were talking about this a little bit before the show, but Luka does LeBron-like things, but he ain't LeBron. I don't think he can drag this roster to a championship, like Nick Wright predicted this morning.
That was oof.
Obviously, Memphis Grizzlies, 58. We'll move on. Who's your under there, Kyle?
Despite Luka being a basketball player, I think I'm going to have to take the Mavericks. I looked at the Spurs. Spurs are projected to have the worst record in the league, but I think that's kind of a testament to, their organizational abilities. They are going to achieve what they set out to do. So they want to be bad. I think they'll be worse than anybody. So I'm going to take the Mavericks. Like Michael said, I don't think they've got the horses to compete with the other top teams.
Pun intended.
In the West, hitting the over would be
49.
Yeah. 49 games. I think that would put them in the 4 seed. I think there's definitely 4 teams that are going to finish better than the Mavericks.
Who's the Mavericks' second best player? Who's their second best guy?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Is it Christian Wood?
They won 52 games last year.
And how did they get better?
Did they get worse?
They lost Jalen Brunson, who was his right-hand man.
Oh, now he's the right-hand man.
He was the right-hand man. I didn't say nothing about performance.
But
he was his sidekick.
When I said that Jalen Brunson was going to have a an Isaiah Thomas type of year. Not
I'm talking about what
that
he
Isaiah
did, not
Thomas.
what he's gonna do.
But that's my point. It's like he's just meh. So for everybody else, like he's meh. And I'm like, well, he's pretty good, but they have Spencer Dinwiddie to fill that gap. They also, the one thing they needed all season was big guys. And I got a couple big guys.
All right. Under for you?
I don't think you're in a great position where you're arguing. Is it Christian Wood or Dorian Finney-Smith
or Spencer Dinwiddie?
I hear you, but JaVale McGee's a champion, and where he goes, titles follow. My under is gonna have to be. I think the Spurs lose even less games than they're projected. Because like you said, when Pop wants to do something, they do it. And then real terror begins on the league when you give him that good of a prospect. We've seen it. So, I think they win less games. So I don't. Yeah, that's the only. The Rockets are probably gonna win less games, but not by much. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I gotta go. I think I gotta go Dallas as well. I just look at the West and I'm like, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8. There's 7 teams in my mind that could like realistically make a conference finals run, and Dallas, I just don't think they got the guys. I just don't think they have the pieces. Unless Luka does something that is like ungodly good, and which is possible, I guess. I just don't see it happening. Difference maker for you, Kyle.
Difference maker in the Southwest. I wasn't high enough on him to pick him as my over, but I think the Pelicans are probably going to be my league pass darlings this year. We know they're going to be dynamic on offense with Zion back and BI and CJ. They only had the 18th best defense last season, but I think they have the personnel to, maybe be a nightmare on that end of the court. So I'm going to go with Herb Jones. He's not the only one there.
Okay.
You've still got Jose Grand Theft Alvarado. You've got Jonas Valanciunas. There's a lot of toughness on the defensive end for them, but I think Herb Jones could, he was on the all-rookie team last year. I think he could be on the all-defensive team this year. So they're kind of like my sneaky pick for maybe a home court playoff team if this defense is what it's capable of being.
Jose Alvarado is Matthew Dellavedova's long-lost cousin. Justin?
I'm going to go with Desmond Bane.
Fuck. Damn it. I hate going last.
I just think he could take the next step forward. He's going to have to, with Jaren Jackson out, I think that, you kind of hit on it. They don't play bad guys. And this next man up, play. Ja was out. They win 20 games. Jaren Jackson's out. They're going to win more than 20 games. That is fine.
My difference maker plays for the same team. He would have been even more of a difference maker. I had him picked for 6th man until yesterday afternoon when he got his rookie extension. Brandon Clark. This is a man that had an incredible, not incredible, but he had a very strong performance in the Timberwolves series. Out-rebounded Minnesota by 3 rebounds in a half at one point on his own, which is wild. He wasn't even playing those crazy minutes like that, but he was just bossing up. He's got energy with Triple J's minute. With Triple J, obviously his absence for, let's be real, probably till early March, mid-March maybe. He's gonna be playing some big, long and strong minutes. I don't know. He's gonna be around a lot, and he is just an energy guy who's gonna come in and be able to really help the Grizzlies win the championship. Kyle, who's your NBA title pick? If I had to guess, I got to guess.
Yeah. I picked the Bucks for like 3 years prior to their title. And then the year they won it, I was like, oh, this team's, they don't have it. They can't do it. So I'm always hesitant now to pick the Bucks, but I think I'm going to dream big. Give me a Bucks Nuggets finals.
Hell yeah.
Bucks
Oh,
Nuggets.
Surely you're going then. If they're in the finals, you're going to go? All right, cool.
Yes. Absolutely.
J-Bone, we already heard you. Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Bucks. I'm terrified at the thought of the reign of it's going to be a reign of nice because he's just a nice human. Like, it's going to be a reign of terror. But, like, he is, I think we're going to see stuff right now that we haven't seen out of people since Shaq. Like, out of Giannis, I think that's what we're looking at for at least the next 2 to 3 years. And And then we're going to look back at some of these players that we thought were going to be really amazing, and I think he's going to overshadow them, a la some of the players in the past that get overshadowed. That's kind of how it goes. That's the league, you know.
Yep. I picked the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm.
Ja.
Who's your team out of the East?
Bucks. I said it on the show. 7-game bloodbath. But with Triple J back and hopefully fully healed, he is one of, I think, 2, maybe 3 guys, 3 guys who can physically hold their own against Giannis. Physically, not guard him or anything. I'm not saying he locks him up, but just physically step and he can kind of stay step. There's a phrase there that I'm missing.
Lock and step.
And I also just think that we're gonna. I picked Ja to be MVP. Who's your pick for MVP?
That's a good question. Like I said, I thought Ja was way further down that list than he should be. 8th seems unrealistic.
Yeah.
God, I guess I've never picked Luka, so I'll pick Luka this year.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I picked Ja, and you got Giannis, of course.
Yeah, I got Giannis. Luka was my second pick. I was surprised. No, you haven't heard it yet, but Bob.
Oh my God!
Picked LeBron
to win MVP this season.
He's like, he's not going to win a title. He might as well go win an MVP.
and you know, he made some. He did made
points.
some decent points.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I guess it's possible. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it could happen. I don't know.
Oy.
All right, Kyle, any parting words for our viewers here on YouTube?
Thanks for listening, and feel free to roast me at the end of the year when these all turn out to be wrong. But I'm excited that they're on wax and easy to track down this time, so we'll be able to check ourselves at the end of the year.
Absolutely. And Kyle, you'll be with us live a couple times next week as well. Yep.
I'll be there in person.
Very excited to have you here. Very excited. All right, everybody. We will be live again at the start of the Lakers-Warriors game. Just a reminder, we are not showing the game. It's like kind of like a watch-along, hangout thing. Do that with us, and we'll have a good time. I'm sure we'll probably play 2K and stuff like that. What you got for me?
Hang on.
Oh, the Sixers are
Sixers Celtics are already
getting blown out right now, right?
No, tie game 15-15.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Tobias Harris and Jason Tatum are the leading scorers, each with 7 points apiece.
Toby!
Tobias Harris?
All right. Alrighty, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure you drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We will see you at 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
9 o'clock Central. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Oh, he just hung up.